I wake up and the first thing I do is open up YouTube and I start scrolling and watching videos. This process continues for hours, not joking, not minutes, hours. Not even gotten out of bed yet, I've already wasted, and wasted is the right word there, 3, 4 hours of my day. I finally get up being the gremlin that I was, and I walk over to my parents and ask them to make me breakfast. Again, I haven't even gotten out of my pajamas yet, and it's already 12 a.m. I think, no, 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 11 a.m., and I haven't even started my day. And this process would continue throughout the whole day where I would just scroll on YouTube, distract myself until about 10 p.m., 11 p.m., where I would remember that, oh yeah, I should have done that one thing, or maybe I should have gone on a walk, for example. But by then, I was already trying to go to bed, and in my mind, I just said, I'll do it tomorrow. It's too late now. I'll do it tomorrow. That process continued for so long. Every single day, I would go on YouTube, I would scroll, and I would just waste so many hours. Waste so many days trying to do something, but I would end up doing nothing. And this process, again, continued for so long until I found the cure. I actually found the way to win that fight. And it all started with waking up in the morning. Because that is the very first thing that happens in the morning. Duh. You wake up, and then I started to do the hardest thing, the hardest part of my day, right there and then. Right there and then. I didn't go on to YouTube. I didn't, try to prepare myself, didn't listen to music, nothing. I just woke up and I started to work out. And obviously not immediately, I warmed up and all that, but I still worked out, and it was still very early in the morning. I didn't even go onto YouTube yet. My phone wasn't even turned on at that point. I would just work out, and that was already done. I had the hardest part of my day done, and I didn't even have to think about it anymore. And once I started getting a habit of that, I started adding on other things. So I went from just working out, and then the rest of my day would be how it used to be, to I worked out, and then I also ate eggs. I made breakfast for myself, so I actually learned how to make breakfast for myself. And then from there, I would shower, and I did shower before, but I actually made it a routine of showering. I'm not joking. And then after that, I would go ahead and read a book. And then eventually I started to make YouTube videos in the morning. And you see, I just added on one habit after another, but it still stemmed from that one principle of doing the hard part of my day in the morning. What I'm describing to you here is 2 strategies that I use to this day that make my days easy and that helps me fight procrastination. Is that eat the frog is number 1, and number 2 is habit stacking. So number 1, eat the frog. Imagine you have to eat a frog. What time would you eat that frog in a day? When would you eat the frog? Would you eat it right before you go to bed? You would eat it as soon as you can, just to get it over with, right? You would eat it the moment you got out of bed, so that slimy taste got out of your throat and out of your mouth as soon as possible. And so that's what I did. Except you don't have to eat a frog. You have to do the habits, and you have to do the things that are good for you. And so I started to work out in the morning. That is the number 1 thing that I would recommend to you. Number 2 is habit stacking. Once I got a habit of eating the frog, quote unquote, I just added one thing after another. So I went from just working out to working out and cooking for myself. I went from working out and cooking to myself to also taking a cold shower in the morning. And I just kept on adding habits until 2 or 3 hours of my day were almost blocked off, where I would just do the hard parts of my day. So I would even read there. I would do so much work in the morning so that even when I did eventually go onto YouTube and start scrolling there, it didn't matter. I was already done with the things I had to do. And so how does this relate to you? I would truly recommend for you to eat the frog in the morning. So find the hardest part of your day. For me, and to this day, for me it still is that I work out in the morning. That is the first thing. Today I worked out, period. I just work out because for me that's the physically most draining thing that I have to do every day. And then I would stack the habits. Once you actually get used to doing that one thing, add another thing, add another thing, and another thing. You have to stack that habit to make it one big habit, like a 2 or 3 hour habit that just consists of many things at once. And a little note that I want to tell you is that you might be thinking that you can't do this because you're a night owl. You can't you can't have some big habit in the morning because you're a night owl. You can't be productive in the morning because you're a night owl. Now, first of all, I just want to tell you that it doesn't matter what time you wake up. You can wake up at 6 a.m. or you can wake up at 10 a.m. It doesn't matter. As long as you just go ahead and start your day right, it doesn't matter what time you wake up. As long as you start it right, then that's all. But a little side note here from me personally is that I used to think that I was a night owl, but I only now realize that I used it as an excuse to stay up late and scroll on YouTube. Once I started to go to bed just a bit earlier, I realized that I really wasn't a night owl. I was just calling myself a night owl so that I can stay up late. And by the way, that process took me 1 month to do. So it's not like 1 day or 1 week like how some people tell you. Just try for a month. Genuinely try to see if you can go to bed earlier. And you'll find that you probably like it. And even if you don't, even if you truly are a night owl, you can still do what I'm telling you to do right here. And for some of the more astute listeners, you probably realize that I've been talking about routine this entire video. What I'm telling you to do is make a morning routine. It sounds so obvious, so simple, and yet it does wonders. Because if you can have a productive morning routine where you do all the hard things out of your day, it doesn't even matter if you procrastinate later in the day, because all of the important things that you already did are done. And honestly, coming from me, if you do all that productive stuff in the morning, you're so much less likely to actually procrastinate later in the day. And even if you do, all of the important things are already done.